like once I start reading a book, I have to finish it like in the same day. Otherwise, I'm not like satisfied.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It gets bad.
I guess
it gets bad. Like I'll be reading and Matthew's like, Brooke, it's like an addiction.
Yeah.
It depends on the book.
Yeah.
That's true. Sometimes I could do this in a day, but it's not a healthy day.
Diving into fiction with 1,200 pages was a lot.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Welcome back.
To another episode of Sometimes Trust Laps. I'm Mak.
I'm Jubes.
And today's another wonderful guest episode.
Yay.
So today's guest is my longtime best friend, only 16 years, but who's counting?
Just a short 16 years.
Just a short 16 years and just as short as the girl. She is 5'2".
This is a roast. Oh, okay.
She is 5'2", but she is the kindest, thoughtful, smartest, most wonderful person you'll know. She is there for all of your legal necessities and now all of your home buying necessities. Mm-hmm. The one, the only Mrs. Algebra Nasty, Brooke Greyell.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's your honor. It's been your pleasure.
No, so we brought Brooke on because she is a real estate agent. Mm-hmm. And so that was her thing. You started off as paralegal, mm-hmm. and then you're like, nope, the law's not necessarily for me. I like houses better. And
pretty much.
Yeah.
It was a good career shift.
Yeah.
Went to school for law and
mm-hmm.
wasn't my vibe. So
tried it, did it. You did good at it, but it just wasn't. Then you've gotten to real estate law, right?
Yeah.
And then this was like, no, real estate altogether.
Yeah. And it's nice to work for myself too. So
mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is nice.
Definitely.
That's sweet. So I just wrote up some questions because I was like, I don't know anything about buying a house.
Yeah. We started like with introing with Brooke. You guys have heard it probably more than a few episodes ago now when we first talked about it.
I have no idea when this episode's coming out, so
yeah. more than a handful of episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
We're both like, we don't know the first thing about buying a house, so we decided to bring Brooke on for Real Estate for Dummies,
mm-hmm.
aka we're the dummies.
She's do real estate.
Brooke's the real estate, and we're the dummies. So
yes, exactly.
It works.
So no pressure.
No pressure.
So the first question is pretty simple, I'd like to think, but also not really. What does a first-time home buyer need?
So obviously you need a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
First-time home buyers in Alberta, the minimum amount for a down payment is 5% on the first $500,000 of the purchase price.
Oh my God, the first $500,000.
Yes, so and 10% for anything over $500,000.
See, didn't know that.
Jesus Christ.
I thought it was like 5% period.
Yeah. So I mean, normally first-time home buyers aren't buying anything like for like $1 million.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's manageable, and that's kind of a perk because anything after that you buy, it's 20% down.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
After $1 million?
No. Like if you buy after you buy your first house and you sell it and you go to buy a new one,
then it's 20%.
Then it's 20% down.
Oh, okay.
Or if you're getting a rental or vacation home, 20% down.
Wild.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, I had no idea. I thought it was just like 5%, like didn't matter what the price was.
I thought you could choose. I thought it was like you could choose between 5 and 20% to put down.
Well, the more you put down, the better.
Yeah.
Because obviously lowers your mortgage.
Okay.
There is other homebuyer perks. You got the home buyer's amount, GST, HST, new housing rebates, the home buyer's plan, and the first time home buyer incentive that government's kind of.
Yeah.
And are those all like discounts or funds or what?
Some are like you can withdraw up to $35,000 from your RSP tax free to buy your first home.
Nice.
Some are like tax credits. If you buy a new home, and you may be eligible for a rebate on some of the tax that you pay. So it just all depends on the scenario, but there is definitely some benefits of being a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
Because I know that there are some banks too that open, like I know RBC opened up up to $8,000 a year kind of thing. Like you can start saving for your first home tax free.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess kind of like a TSFA, but a house one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a bunch of like stuff in the news recently of like trying to make it easier for first time home buyers to actually like get into the housing market through like these home buyer, like first time buyer plans, but I haven't looked into them at all.
Especially competing with people who are buying from out of province, out of the country. Like it's just there's some competition out there. So
also you might get into this a bit later too, but like would you notice, like have you noticed that in Calgary from starting real estate, like now with everyone from Toronto and Vancouver kind of heading towards, or has it always been like you working within that?
Since I've started, like there has been a lot of people moving from the bigger areas just because they're becoming more unaffordable.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wouldn't say Calgary is super affordable, but it's definitely better than you get in Vancouver and Toronto, where it costs like $1 million to buy like minimum. A starter home. Yeah.
That's really interesting because yesterday a friend was telling me that Calgary, she read an article or saw an article that said that Calgary is the most expensive city to live in Canada. It's somehow surpassed Vancouver and Toronto. And she didn't read the full article.
I was going to say, I'd like to read that article.
Yeah.
I mean, it is very expensive. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, it was Vancouver.
Yeah, right?
For a shack in Vancouver, it's $1 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why I'm like, I don't see how Calgary's more than that.
Yeah. And
we have cheaper tax.
Yeah, we have less tax and higher minimum wage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, that's very interesting.
That's very interesting. That feels wrong.
I know. We don't have the PST either, or so I don't know. I'd like to read that article.
Right, me too. I was like, that's very interesting. She's I didn't read anything because it scared me, so I just kind of swiped by.
I was like, I need your sources.
Yeah, literally.
Things are changing so much too. So like, always hard. Like every time I open something's different, and it's hard to say exactly, especially in this market where it's unpredictable.
Yeah, I just know like when I was on the dating apps, almost like every third person was from Ontario that moved to Alberta because you can't buy anything in Ontario anymore.
I've had clients from Victoria. I've had clients from Ontario, and it's just makes more sense. Like one of my clients from Ontario, they sold their house for, I think it was over $600,000, and it was like kind of like a trailer home on a cement slab.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. 600.
Holy cow.
It was something like that. Like it was years ago, so I can't like remember the exact thing, but I'm like, holy crap. And then they bought a house here.
Yeah.
And like full size house for $500,000.
Yeah.
And what the heck?
That's exactly it, right? You sell your house in, again, Toronto or Vancouver for 1.5 mil. An $800,000 house in Alberta is not going to break their bank. They can buy it in full and have extra to spare.
Yeah. Well, it's, I don't know, because where we're living right now, like this house is selling for $500,000. Like,
and that doesn't surprise me at all.
Just the, like, if we were to buy this, it would be at least $500,000, and that's not both sides of the duplex.
And that's, it's
insane. Insane.
And I mean, the closer you are to the center of the city, the more expensive you're getting to. Like the outside towns are better, but I mean, depends what you buy too. Yeah, you're buying a condo or a house or a
That's like my sister who's gonna graduate vet tech in the spring. She's like, oh well, the max I can make is $25 an hour, but like that's hard to live on, like in a city. And so she's like worrying about that, but I'm like, realistically, in the small town that I grew up in, that gets you a very nice farm. Like,
well, and that's where all the animals are.
Exactly. So it's like you kind of got to win some, you lose some. But she wants to do a lot with horses, and there's so many like horse ranches in the south of Alberta. So it's like coming down here. But then, the closer you get to the city, the more expensive it is.
But you could always end up somewhere like small, and then I guess just drive, right?
Exactly.
Or have people come to her if she has the ability.
Yeah. She's just like freaking out, and I'm like, $25 in Calgary looks a lot different than $25 in the middle of nowhere.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Did you want me to ask the next question of how do mortgages work?
Yeah, okay.
No, I wasn't sure if that was the one that you were like, no, please don't ask me.
No, so I'm going to keep it really basic just because I'm not a mortgage broker.
Fair enough.
And obviously. I know about mortgages,
Yeah.
but I can't fully go into like a rant about them. So pretty much you can do a variable mortgage or a fixed mortgage. With a variable mortgage, mortgage payments are set for the term, even though interest rates may fluctuate during that time. If the interest rate goes down, more of the payment is applied to the principal. And if the interest rates go up, more of the payment is applied to interest, which will affect how quickly your home is paid off. The benefit of that is that it provides flexibility to take advantage of falling interest rates. Fixed is locked in for a full term of the mortgage. Payments are set in advance, providing security of knowing exactly how much the payments will be. It can be either open, which means they can be paid off at any time without any breakage costs, or closed, which means breakage costs apply if paid prior to maturity. And obviously, if you want to know how much you qualify for, that's to talk to a mortgage broker. I know plenty of them, so I can give you a bunch of recommendations. Yeah, it's always cool to figure out, and I always recommend that you get pre-approved before even looking. Otherwise, you're most likely going to look outside your price range, and then you'll be disappointed.
Yeah, that's fair.
Doesn't pre-approval only last a certain amount of time though?
Yeah, it's 3 months.
Okay.
Oh wow, I thought it was like 6.
There might be.
Okay.
Like, I know most of them are 3 months.
Okay.
So
yeah. So if you get pre-approved, you already have to kind of be on the hunt though. No.
Yeah. I mean, you can always get like it doesn't cost anything, right? To get pre-approved, you just kind of figure out. But it's always best to like talk to someone at least, and they'll guide you through it.
Yeah. Because then you get pre-approved and you don't find a house until 4 months after, then you have to like go back.
Yeah, it's just because like interest rates and stuff, like you get pre-approved for a certain amount, and then stuff happens, or like say you buy a car, not a good idea if you're looking for a house. But
does my car last another year?
And it's always good, like if you, and I've had this issue before with some people, like they're like, oh, I'm looking to buy a house, and then we start looking for houses, and they're like, oh, like can't get pre-approved because I just started a new job or whatever. Like, it's just they need security too. So.
Yeah, because that was something like after I worked at the coffee shop, I think it was for 6 months. Our boss was like, he just told me, he's like, I'll write you a letter so you can get like pre-approved to like buy a house or whatever. Like I'll write them a letter, and I was like, thank you so much. Like, I didn't ask. But yeah, he was very much like, now that you've had this job for like a decent amount of time, like you can buy a house now. And I was like, I cannot buy a house on a coffee shop salary. Thank you so much. You do not pay me.
Very optimistic there.
Yeah, literally. I was like, thank you so much. But no,
he was just so eager for you to like start a family.
Literally. He was like, get married, have kids, buy a house. And I was like, I'm 21.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so what, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but what would be a breakage cost? Because you had talked about that.
Usually it's just a penalty.
Okay. So if you pay it off too early, you get a breakage cost?
Yeah, so because they want the money, right? They want the interest money. Like
I was like, that feels twisted. Be like, oh yeah, you did really good at paying off your mortgage. Ding.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a pain in the butt. But yeah, they just money.
Oh.
Yeah.
Twisted. I like that.
Yeah, right.
That's also, I mean, the same way like with taxes, like you make a lot of money, you get tax heavy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I mean, it depends on how much you are paying off at a certain time. It all depends on the numbers, honestly. Like, there's no set number, I don't think. And it depends on the bank, and it just depends
on the individual too, probably. Like, what's their history and all that kind of stuff.
So, you might not also know the answer. It might be also very simple. Why would someone choose a variable mortgage over a fixed mortgage? Like, to me, especially with the way interest rates are going right now, they just seem to be steadily increasing. So I'm like, why wouldn't you just choose a fixed so that you don't continue to get screwed every couple of years?
Because sometimes fixed can be a lot higher than the variable.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because the variable can go down and up.
Okay.
And then fixed, like, is just fixed at a certain number. And you can't
change it.
No, like the interest rate is fixed, and then you're paying more to interest than you are to principal. And I mean, you want the most to principal. It's just what's taking the number off your house.
Okay.
Interest is just money thrown away, unfortunately.
Pretty much.
And
Yeah.
isn't it a thing where you can start with variable, once you switch to fixed, you have to stick with fixed? Did I make that up?
No, I believe that's true.
Yeah,
actually,
I believe you can start one way and then
I believe
fix it.
it's that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, talk to a mortgage broker because
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. But I think it's like the variable to fixed.
Yeah.
Because like once you
Maybe
fix it,
wrong.
they want that guarantee or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any advice for people like looking to buy a home in this market?
In this market
Yeah.
in particular,
Yeah.
I'm saying that now because I don't know when this is coming out and when you're listening to this.
So at the time of recording, December 16th, 2023.
If you're waiting, yes. If you're waiting for interest rates to go down, which they are,
Okay.
you aren't alone. But as soon as they drop, there's
Yeah.
going to be more people wanting to buy. So there's more competition.
Right.
So you're going to still get that market where you're paying over list for stuff, where things are being listed higher.
Mm-hmm.
I have found in the few years I've been an agent that the market is generally slower in the winter months. No one wants to move in the snow.
Yeah.
Like, period. I don't want to move in the snow.
Yeah.
So it gives
I've
buyers
only
a little
moved
bit
in the
more
snow.
time. It gives buyers a little bit more time to kind of browse and stuff.
Right.
As opposed to summer months where like you can look at one house and you better make an offer or it's sold.
But if it's slower, then you kind of have more bargaining power because there's less offers.
Okay.
Yeah, it always depends. Like, it depends on the house. Like, it's such a scenario by scenario basis because you get some houses that are on the market for a month. And I mean, I've seen it where you have the bargaining power.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, but you don't know what's going to happen, right? Like, you're like, oh, this house has been on the market for like a week. You don't know what's going on in the background either. Like, you don't know if they're negotiating other things or who's looked at the house, who's like, oh, I love this house, I'm making an offer tonight. Or
Oh, okay, yeah.
so it's all up in the air. It's always best to talk with your real estate agent or get your real estate agent to talk to the buyer's real estate agent or seller's real estate agent, sorry.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally, if you really like a house, it's really good to
Just hop on it.
get in and see it at least.
Yeah.
Because I mean, pictures always look better than in the house and look bigger and stuff, and that's what they're designed to look like.
You can't smell in pictures either.
No,
That's true.
No.
Like if you walk into a house and it smells like mildewy, I'm like concerned immediately about water damage and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's very true.
I'm not trying to move into a moldy home.
No,
Yeah,
and that's
respectfully.
a big thing. And so much of like, because people will be like, oh, this house is so cheap. And then I'll go look at it. And I'm like, oh, it's a foreclosure. Like,
Oh.
yeah, we can go look at it. However, there's a lot of risk. Like, we can't go in for an inspection. We can't see what's behind the scenes of the house. And we have to make an offer and the court decides if they're going to take the offer.
Oh, because our boss was also really telling me to buy a foreclosure because that's the way to go. Because
Well,
they're
it's
cheaper.
It's cheaper, but
It might end
don't
up being
know.
more work.
Exactly.
And yeah.
So why can't you do an inspection on a foreclosure?
It's, I mean, again, scenario by scenario basis. Most of the foreclosures I've walked through and I've seen,
Yeah.
it's just like you buy it as it is. Because it's the court you're
okay.
working with is the court, and
Right.
They just want it sold.
they
just want it
don't want
gone.
any conditions on the house. So like you can't even have like, oh, I'm pre-approved. You have to have financing in place and everything. Like you have to like have that money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I personally wouldn't buy a foreclosure, but I guess it depends on the house
Yeah.
and depends on, but if you look at, obviously you can like go in it and look at it, but, and you can kind of see, like if you look up at the ceilings, you can see if there's water damage, you can kind of,
Right.
but a lot of foreclosures too, they shut off their plumbing. So you can't like flush toilets or turn on sinks or.
Oh.
Interesting.
Do you have any other advice, I guess, for people looking to buy, I guess, in general then?
Piece of advice from a real estate agent, get a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I'm like, because there's a lot of people who will sell it themselves to try to save on costs, but
Yes.
sometimes that's not always the most effective.
Sometimes it bites you in the butt.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's, especially when you're going the buying route, it's mean, technically free
Yeah.
to use one because this is coming out of the sellers, but also it's beneficial to you. You're going to not have to deal with negotiations and
less of a headache for the
yes.
buyer and seller. Yeah.
Yes, because it can be a lot. And if there is a real estate agent on the other side, like works both ways, they can take advantage of that sometimes.
Okay.
It's just how it goes, unfortunately, in the industry. But most of the time, we're good. Most of the time, we're good. There has been some interesting people out there, though.
There's always some interesting people. Though.
Yeah.
Like,
It's every profession, every trade.
Yeah. Like anything, especially sales related, because honestly, like real estate's just a glorified car salesman.
Yeah. You
like
work off commission.
Yeah.
You want the most money for yourself.
Yeah.
And some real estate agents work off of that, and we're supposed to work off of what's in the best interest of our clients.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what I do. Unfortunately, a lot of other people
don't.
I mean, I'm very personal. So I'd like to build that relationship and keep that relationship after the fact.
Yeah, no,
which is beneficial though to have positive relationships.
It is
most people in general, just because
you don't know who they are or how they'll play into your life, like in the future, even like.
Oh yeah, and
it just makes sense.
My clients that moved from Ontario, like I still see them around town, and I still talk to them, and it's great.
Yeah,
like pop in, give them little Christmas gifts, and chat with them, and
that's sweet. Yeah, because like my mom and dad never used real estate agents like when we were flipping houses, which is bonkers to me. And then we used one when we couldn't sell our acreage, and so like every once in a while he'd like give us like a Christmas basket or whatever. But I was like, I always like have romanticized the like Christmas basket from the real estate agent, or like when you buy a house and they put that like giant like basket of just like gifts in the thing.
I love making baskets.
I was like, that's amazing. I love that so much.
I love making them. That's like, I don't know. One of my favorite parts of the job is because I love gifting stuff. So I love like being able to make a closing basket and just seeing my clients and making them happy and stopping in every once in a while and checking on the house and seeing how they decorated it.
Yeah.
I like homes a lot. So I'm always switching at my home, and I always like to see what people are doing in their homes.
Yeah.
And give myself some ideas too. So.
You always make them very personalized. Like you somehow find out what people love and you make like the baskets super personal.
I even include little things for dogs.
Yeah.
And cats. I love animals.
That's so sweet. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's one thing that someone would need to consider before buying?
Get pre-approved.
Get pre-approved? Okay, cool. We love it.
Get pre-approved, but also, like, figure out if you're actually ready.
Yeah. What better way to ring in the new year than with Dyson? If you're not familiar with Dyson, they sell fancy vacuums, hair straighteners, and so much more. If you're looking to save some money on Dyson products, now is the time. These deals are valid for a limited time only, so hurry over to sometimesciabattaslaps.com for more information and links to the Dyson website. Happy shopping!
So there are usually 7 signs that you are ready to buy a home. You have a specific area that you can see yourself in long term. You have at least idea of what your future will look like the things you can control. Your current situation is not meeting your long-term goals or needs. So if you're renting, obviously, it all depends.
Yeah.
It all depends on the person if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
You're in a comfortable financial position with a manageable amount of debt. You've accepted and prepared for the extra costs. And if you experience a career shakeup, you can still cover your mortgage and other expenses without dramatically increasing your debt. And you feel like it makes sense to pay towards a mortgage instead of rent each month, because that's a big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes mortgages can be cheaper than rents. So,
yeah.
And I find that's most of the time, especially in the rental market.
Especially right now.
Yeah.
The rental market is out of control because they're basing it off. I don't know what they're basing it off of, but every time our rent increases, they're like, we compared it to market prices. So it's just gone up X amount of dollars. And I'm like, you haven't increased my living space at all. Like nothing changes for me.
Yeah.
So why am I paying more for the same space?
Demand.
Like,
People who
that's
need houses that
stupid.
don't have houses.
Yeah, I know. It's annoying and I hate it.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
It's
everyone
unfortunate.
needs a place to live, or everyone wants, like, otherwise you're going to be homeless.
Yeah. You're
And
going to
that's why
pay
we're in a
it.
housing crisis because no one can afford to live in a house.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like you're going to pay it, so why not
exactly.
increase it?
And if we're not going to, they'll find someone else.
Yeah,
Which is super
It's
annoying.
super annoying.
Because, like,
it's high demand.
well, yeah, I was like, when our rent increased for this house, I was talking to Bryce, I was like, can we maybe talk to them about, like, getting grass in our backyard, a deck, a fence, eaves trough so I don't break my neck trying to get into the garage, like,
Jeez.
little things like this.
Let's looking right now.
I know, they don't have it. And I sent them an email. I was like, hey, BTW, like, sometimes the garage door freezes shut and then there's ice and I can't open it. So, like,
And they should be taking care of that. That's their
yeah,
job.
so they had someone come out and give them a quote or whatever, and I've heard nothing since, and it's been like a month and a half, and I'm like,
no one's, instead of
Now
finishing
I
these
want
houses,
it.
they decided to, like, refinish the road to these houses.
literally, and
Which
I'm
wasn't
like,
even that bad.
Oh,
it was
okay.
fine. I was like, what is even going on? And now they don't plow it anyway, so it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But I couldn't feel like I could ask that because they could just be like, no.
Yeah.
And then we either pay it or we move.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's really annoying because that's something that we have been technically like paying for that they said was going to get finished.
Yeah.
But the way they've been doing these houses, they've just been pumping them out, and then the garage is an extra cost, grass is an extra cost, so they make it
Everything's
like,
an extra cost.
yeah, affordable-ish for the person. And then they're like, if you want anything extra, it's another whatever.
You guys could just buy sod and do it yourself if you wanted.
Oh, trust me, there's sod that's been sitting in the back alley for this entire year, and I've just about gone up to them and been like, can I buy this off of you? Because you're obviously not using it.
Yeah.
So, and then Bryce's grandma told me I should just plant a garden.
Yeah.
So I just about did that. But then I was like, I don't
Yeah.
want to have to look after a garden.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So I just grew weeds.
Cute.
Yay!
That's the only thing I know how to grow.
Yeah, they grew great. I had a bountiful crop this year.
So yellow.
Yeah, literally. And then Greyell just like weed whacked around the barbecue because he was like, this is probably a fire hazard. And I was like, yeah, actually, yeah. Thank you. I didn't think of that.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I guess what are some things that people should watch for when they're buying a house?
So keep an eye on the structure of the home itself and how the home is built. When like looking through houses, and a lot of people don't do this just because they're like, oh, like, where are we going to put this couch? Where are we going to do this?
Yeah.
And like, you can do that and get an inspector to kind of look at these things, but it is important to look at them. And if you're working with a realtor, we will look at it too.
Yeah.
So you can focus on the pretty stuff, and we can just look at what will need to be done in the future. So like stuff at this, like the supporting beam structure, quality of the pipes, status of the insulation, quality and materials used for the siding and roof, how old the roof is, how old the furnace and water heater are, if there are any cracks in the foundation, any visible water damage. And then you can start to gauge when things need to be replaced down the road.
Yeah.
If they need to.
Do you find that people tend to get too wrapped up on the pretty stuff?
Sometimes,
Because
yeah.
I've seen a lot of like social media, like first time home buyers, and them being like, oh my God, the water heater just blew up and I don't even know, like, this is so, like, this is crap. And it's like, well, a house is like a living, breathing thing in many ways. Like,
Yeah, things need to be replaced. And I mean, it kind of sucks. And sometimes like you can't control that stuff. Like even if you got an inspection and everything seemed fine, you move in and like a month down the road, something breaks. That's just kind of something you got to prepare for.
Yeah.
Because you bought the house as is in its current state, and its current state was good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if the inspector's like, I recommend that you change the water heater or see if the sellers can do it or whatever, then that's kind of a different story if you don't get it done and then it breaks. Because like you did get it recommended or.
Yeah.
So if like the inspector recommends that you change your water heater, how does that cost work? Like who pays for it, I guess?
So you can write it and everything can be negotiated. Pretty much everything can be negotiated. So you can write it into the offer where I would like the water heater to be replaced prior to us moving in, or you can kind of just sit with knowing you're going to need to do that and do it yourself.
Okay.
And
it all depends on the person, all depends on the situation.
On demand, that kind of makes it hard to negotiate things like that.
It depends on the
swiped up
market.
quickly.
Like if it's if they're having a really hard time selling their house, and they're like, this is what's going to make it sell, they'll fork out the extra money and do it.
Right.
But I mean,
can you kind of get it off of the like cost of the house if you're like, okay, the water heater needs to get replaced in the next month, and I know that going in, I'm not asking you to do that, but can we take X amount off the price? Yeah.
Yes, I've done that for clients where something, I forget what, I'm trying to think of this particular situation, but they asked for something to be done, and they're like, seller's like, no. They're like, okay, can we have $1,000 off?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So like,
yeah, you can do
it can do
way.
that, and like a lot of sellers are just like, I don't want to deal with that right now. I want to move.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
be done with this house.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So kind of building off of that, what are some unexpected costs, I guess, that kind of catch people off guard that you like? Cause I watched a TikTok video and they're like, or you had posted something or someone said something and they were like, these are the unexpected costs. So you need to have like on top of your 5% first time home buyer, like down payment, you also need 5 to 10% for everything else. Like I guess like lawyer fees or whatever. What?
Rich bitch.
Was that where it was?
I was going to say, I think I have a post about that too. And I mean, there are, and people don't consider them.
Yeah.
So aside from your mortgage down payment, you also have to provide the sellers with the deposit, and that will be held in trust by their realtor's brokerage until conditions are waived. This can be any number agreed on to the parties. I've seen from like $5,000 to $25,000. Like it just depends.
Right.
But that deposit will go towards the house as well.
Okay.
And then you got the adjustment costs. So if you need to reimburse the previous owner for any utility payments or property taxes that have been paid beyond the closing date, that's calculated by the lawyers.
Okay.
The lawyers will figure that out.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things. Legal fees, obviously, title insurance, property insurance, moving expenses, utility service charges, and then if you're putting less than 20% down, mortgage insurance, another insurance, and then other costs that you may need to pay, depending on your situation. Property appraisal, property survey, so an RPR report if you need a new one, or you can negotiate it with the seller that they provide it. Home inspection fee, estoppel certificate. So if you're buying a condo, this lets the buyers know that the current owners are in good standing. Again, may be provided by the sellers. Any cleaning fees if you want it like deep cleaned before, or you can write that in the contract that they get deep cleaned before you move in. Again, negotiation thing. And then if you want a renovation budget, there's that. If you're buying a new build, GST will be applied to the contract price.
So
5%. And then new home warranty, which kind of covers like anything damaged within, I forget the exact amount of time. But I mean, if something breaks down and you lived in there for a month and it's a new home, that you shouldn't be responsible for that. But I was going to go somewhere with the goods and servicing. I was going to go with something else for that.
Is that because they're trying to like sell the new houses, or is that like why?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's another thing I was going to say about that. Oh, new homes. So a lot of people just kind of go to the developers to buy new homes. You can also use a realtor for that too. And that'll help with like, if you want help picking out different stuff for your house, like cabinets and stuff, like realtor will kind of like oversee the big general picture of that stuff. And be able to talk to developers probably more than you'd be able to. So.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So the realtor can kind of be like the salesperson and interior designer for you.
Well,
they're almost like the wedding planner. I would say. Just like you tell them what you want, and then they tell the vendors and organize all of that. So you're like realtor, I want this.
Organization.
Interesting.
But yeah, some people just go straight to the developer, and that's fine too. But you can use a realtor for new home builds.
Interesting.
Never knew that.
Yeah. I was gonna ask that question because I was like, I actually have no idea what
that's
it's
where
like.
I was trying to go, and I thought of it, and then it slipped my mind.
That's
where I'm going
all the time.
That's why I write notes.
Yeah, exactly. So then, does that kind of still work? Like if you're building, like your own house, kind of thing? Okay, yeah.
Yes. So
interesting.
Contractors, but
interesting.
Also, you said something there too that also by surprise. If you don't pay 20%, you have to pay
mortgage
insurance.
Yeah.
What the heck? So does it just make sense to just save up for that 20%?
I mean, I would pay more if you could. Yeah. It just like,
so like if you're like, okay,
it's just
either I save up for a year and I
insurance.
pay 5%, or I save up for 2 years and I get to that 20% or something,
Mhm.
right? It makes sense to do it that way.
I would. I mean,
Yeah.
it is nice only having to pay 5%, and we have that for a reason.
Mhm.
But I mean, like, it would be nice to get into a house and be like, okay, I already paid this much money,
Yeah.
and just kind of look at the long-term goal of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
With that being said, what would you recommend if someone wanted to like put down 5% so they have a low interest rate, even though they can pay more, but then they just like double their mortgage payment?
So you can do that. However, sometimes you have to build onto that, like doubling. It depends on who you're going with too.
Yeah.
Like I know
Mhm.
with our mortgage in particular, we were able to do stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like only a certain amount of times we were able to like do that a month.
Oh, okay.
So
Hmm.
I can't really say specifically
It's
like
kinda
how
like
that works.
Would it be similar to like an RSP where you can like only put in this much extra kind of thing? Or
Yeah,
because it seems weird
I'm
that
not
they
too
would limit
sure,
that.
because like I know if like we'd pay double up on some payments and then like we'd pay more money and then we'd still get, like we'd get obviously not a fine, but there'd be
Yeah.
a fee on
Interesting.
top of that. It's not
Yeah.
crazy big,
Yeah.
and like if you look at the long term
Yeah.
thing, like how much interest we're paying, like it always was less.
Yeah.
But
This is
yeah.
why I don't trust governments and all that kind of
Well, I
stuff.
know, right?
Organizations.
'Cause,
Because like I do good and you penalize me? Pardon?
Yeah,
That's
literally.
confusing.
Well, because I've always heard of people who like get their mortgage, and then if they have a little bit extra that month, they just like put it toward their mortgage so that they can like work on paying it off
Yeah.
easier, which
Yeah.
makes sense to me. I was like, that's a good
Yeah.
idea.
And I know just like what we did for my mortgage. I don't know like what other banks
Yeah.
allow or like
Mhm.
other lenders, so I can't really be that specific on that.
Yeah.
And then
Fair.
Unfortunately.
Would you say someone's like history of like either credit card debt or car debt and everything like that, like those all play into that as well?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. How much of a role does your credit score play in that? You know? No? Okay.
No.
No, I don't. And it's like, because that obviously they look at that when getting pre-approved and stuff.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, I mean, and they look at your debt and they make sure that I forget the exact number, the percentage,
Yeah.
but you have to be like a certain percentage of debt and like compared to like what you make and what you're
Right.
spending. Yeah, like again, scenario by
Yeah.
scenario. And I know there's a certain percentage, and I'm not going to say it because
That's fair.
I will just wing it.
Yeah.
And I don't know the exact number.
That's fair.
That's
Like, well, because I was like, when I was trying to get my phone, I didn't have a credit score, and so they wouldn't let me like loan out my phone or whatever. I had to put a
Yeah.
certain amount down
Mhm.
because they didn't have a credit score, and I was
Yeah.
like, it's a cell phone. Is it really that big of a deal?
Yeah.
But it was just something that I had never really like. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal.
Well, it's so interesting that they care about that to the extent, but then they'll let you like do the bare minimum, get the house, and then go depths of debt afterwards. Like my boyfriend and I have been watching the Dave Ramsey show quite a bit, and the amount of debt some of these people have that they call in and they like openly admit on air that they're like millions of dollars in debt. I'm like,
It's
how
crazy.
the heck
Yeah.
do you even get there? It's all the interest and stuff that comes with it too.
It's crazy.
Well, yeah, because I've been on like just like mortgage calculators. Because every once in a while, I'm like, man, what we're paying for rent is stupid. So then I
Yeah.
like find a house and I'm like, would you be less or more? So I go on like mortgagecalculator.com or whatever,
Mhm.
and the interest literally doubles the price of the house.
Yeah,
And
and
I'm
it
like,
will, as
what?
soon as you start getting the number down, the
Yeah.
interest goes down too, which is nice. Like we were getting to the point where
Yeah, I
we're
guess
only
that makes
paying
sense.
like $10 interest and most of principal, which is
Mhm.
really nice.
Mhm.
But yeah, at the beginning, it's just scary because you're paying
Right.
more interest than you are in principal, and it makes no sense.
Interesting. So then would it be more of like it's just charging interest on what you have left? So it's almost like a reverse compounded.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
it just like goes, because I know we had like just a schedule of like when, and you could see it going down
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It also depends on like how much you're paying each month. Like if you're bi-weekly or you pay weekly.
Oh, okay.
I think that's why Nicole Richie said that the house is like a bad investment at first.
Well, she was also living in New York.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That'll
yeah,
do it.
different. Yeah, her advice
Mhm.
was to rent instead of buy, because buying a house was a bad investment,
Yeah.
because you'd have to deal with all of like, if the water heater goes, that's on you.
Mhm.
If this goes, that's on you.
Yeah.
But also with the rental agency we're using right now, I have a strong feeling that if that happens, I just don't have a water heater until they answer their email and fill it out, because Greyland's toilet leaked through his ceiling into his light, and they would not respond to him or send a plumber to go and like fix it. So he had to call a plumber and fix it himself.
Yeah.
And so it's
would
like,
send the bill to them.
yeah, that's what I told him to do. I was like, yeah, you can do that, but you should not have to pay for that, because that's one of the quote unquote benefits of renting, is that when your
Yeah.
shit leaks through the ceiling, you don't have to clean it up.
And
No.
it's true.
Yeah.
And get them to look at the contract too, because if that's contract,
Yeah.
like that a contract's a contract. You can't break that.
Yeah.
No.
And if they say that's on us in that contract,
Yeah.
then it's on them.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
Well, and that's like, they were like sending emails about how I have to replace the furnace filters. And I was like, didn't think that was my responsibility as a renter, but okay. And they're like, no, it's in the lease. And it was in the lease.
Oh,
And I was
okay.
like,
yeah,
okay, well, I
some
can't
things you
argue with
overlook.
that.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
like, what's the point of renting if I have to do all the homeowner shit anyways? You know?
Mhm.
So that's just my personal opinion.
As someone who's been personally violated by the rental market.
I'm just really mad at this company. But obviously not mad enough to move, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Sign the new lease.
Yeah, I'm like, because what if I get someone worse or like
Oh,
whatever?
yeah.
But
Could get a worse landlord.
okay, so this is just out of my personal curiosity. It's kind of the last question I have written down.
Mhm.
Oh, wait, no. I've got two. Just kidding.
Okay. I was like, I think I got 2 or 3, so I was getting stressed out. I was
We
like,
have the same no questions, but I just have only one left.
what did we take out?
Sick nar. I do this for a living. So, what are some things to know before selling a house?
So pretty much you want to start by budgeting moving costs and researching current market conditions, and contact your mortgage provider to determine the outstanding balance and if there are any early redemption penalties, and to look for like who you want to sell it. So if you want a
Right.
realtor, if you want to do it yourself, if you get a flyer in the door that says, "Oh, we're gonna buy your house," I don't really know how that works, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
do that. I don't know what your like situation is,
Mhm.
but just make sure it's the best choice. I will always recommend a realtor,
Mhm.
not just because I am a realtor. It's because I've seen
What happens if you don't
yeah,
have one? Yeah.
exactly. I've seen stuff that's
Nightmares.
yeah, kind of a headache. Not really nightmare. It's just a headache, and it doesn't really benefit you in the long run.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Obviously, you'll need to determine a listing price. You can do that by looking at current market conditions and comparables in your neighborhood. If you have a realtor, they will help you with this.
Okay.
Obviously, you get the final say on
Right.
it, but they can be like, "Oh, this is what I think you should list it for." If you want to list it higher, technically it's on you.
Yeah.
If you want to list it lower and have a bidding war on your house, there's that too.
Yeah.
All depends on the market. All depends on the situation.
Right.
So
So, sorry. With that being said, you don't have to get your house appraised before you determine the market or the value of it.
I don't know.
Okay. I kind of thought
That's
like
fair.
I thought in order to like know what to put your house at, you had to get it appraised.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Sometimes they like that, and sometimes if, say, a buyer's coming, their mortgage broker, or not mortgage broker, their mortgage lender will want it appraised just
Okay.
to kind of make sure that you're not paying more than the house is worth.
Right.
Because then they're like, "Okay, why are we giving you all this money?"
Yeah.
When
Okay.
you're
That
make
makes
the money
sense.
on back. Before your home hits the market, you'll need to prep and stage your home, limit clutter, pack away any personal items. People want to visualize living in their home. They don't want to see any knickknacks and
Yeah.
personal pictures, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
That's fair.
I mean, it kind of helps because then you're kind of getting your moving process started early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In this market, how important would you say staging is? Some people say like don't even bother, like it's fine because someone's gonna buy it if they need it anyways, right?
With that, I always tell my clients how, like, what do you look for in a home?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're looking at homes online,
Mm-hmm.
if you see a home that's packed with clutter and stuff, do you just go past it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or do you stop and like actually look at it?
Okay.
In my opinion, I look at stuff it doesn't have to be nice stuff.
Yeah.
It can be like the bare minimum, but like
Mhm.
still kind of stage a dining room area and stage like
Yeah.
different areas so they kind of know what they're walking into, knowing.
Yeah.
And you don't know what your buyers are going to be like.
Yeah.
Like you don't know, the perfect buyer may have just skipped over your house because it looks like, I don't know,
Yeah.
cluttered and small and
Okay.
yeah. So I do recommend, like, if you have holes in your wall, to get them patched up, to get
Yeah.
nice. You don't have to paint the whole house, nice,
Mhm.
but still like fresh coat of paint on some stuff and
Mm-hmm.
any marks on the wall, handprints, whatever, just get it cleaned up and
Yeah.
looking nice. And I mean, you're going to really benefit from that too, because
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but I like a clean home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
it does feel really good to kind
Yeah.
of have that done. Although it's like, oh, I should have done this years ago.
Yeah.
You're like, oh
Yeah.
well.
Because I might be an anomaly in that, but like when I'm looking at a house, I look at the bones. I don't really, because I know I'm going to change
Yeah.
everything to begin with.
Oh yeah. And some
Yeah.
people are like that too.
Yeah.
If they're like, oh, I know I'm going to change this anyways. And it is, I mean, the one thing you really can't change is
Mhm.
kind of the floor plan.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's one thing. If I
So-
don't like the layout, I'm gonna be like, is this a
Yeah.
load bearing wall or can I take a sledgehammer to it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's important to consider too. And then if you're
Mhm.
walking through with an inspector being like, can we take this wall out?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they can generally determine, yes,
Yeah.
Because
no.
like that might be me because I've looked at like just browsing homes in the area just to kind of see what
Mhm.
the city's like.
Yeah.
I looked at one home, absolute disaster, cluttered to the shit. My
Yeah.
only concern with that was, are there mice in the house?
Yeah.
Or water
what
damage.
what
Yeah.
does it smell like?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
if a home is treated like
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
like they don't upkeep their
Well, yeah. Then
Client
you're
says
nervous, like,
you're-
when was the
'cause-
last time they had their furnace cleaned out,
Yeah.
their dryer vent?
Yeah.
Like,
But I see all of that as negotiation
yeah.
yeah,
things
but-
too. Because I'm like, your house is foul.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you can put in a bargain war. I'm not going to pay you above this number for it though.
yeah.
Which I guess it depends on whoever the seller is at that point.
Yes.
But when I'm looking at a house like that, one in particular, beautiful crown molding. That's what
Yeah.
I was looking at. I'm like, I
Yeah.
love that. I love
Yeah.
this detail. I love this detail. But
Yeah.
all the clutter has me like, if I was to actually like go in and try to purchase it,
Mhm.
I would not go above X number of price because if you're not upkeeping everything else,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for your ignorance.
Yeah. And then unfortunately,
Yeah.
like you're like, okay, I want to make an offer, except I want this, this, and this. And then sellers can be stubborn.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're
Totally.
like, no. And then it's just like, okay, this is kind of a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It
I don't
depends on
know.
the
I'm
depends
kind
situation.
on
of
the house,
opposite
depends
of
on the
that.
sellers.
Oh, yeah.
Because like when we were looking, when I was in Halifax looking for places to rent,
Yeah.
I went and toured one, and it was like unfortunate timing because it was right after supper.
Yeah.
Whatever they made for supper was so smelly. Yeah, so their whole house was just cluttered and gross,
Mhm.
and it was an immediate no. I was like,
Mhm.
I'm sure it'll be fine, like once they're out of here, but I can't even picture myself in here
No.
Yeah.
because it's just
And again,
gross. I'm
like you're picturing yourself in
Yeah,
there. And that's
yeah.
the whole thing. You want to like, oh, where am I going to put this? Where am I going to put that?
even when we toured this house, like
Mhm.
I was not into it at all. But it was
Really?
unfortunate because they had started like packing and like I liked the layout and I knew it was good. And part of the reason why I really liked it was because Bryce bought it. I was like, that'd be so special. Or he built it.
Yeah.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
then, but there was like a lot of stuff and I was like, I don't love what they did with this
Yeah.
place.
Okay, so
then I-
staging's important to you.
yeah, so I had a really hard
There you
time
go.
envisioning our stuff in here, which made it super
Oh.
difficult to actually put our stuff in here and like unpack because I was like, I don't know because our stuff is so different from what they had.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really struggled with that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. Like I'll look at houses and I'm like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
sometimes it's even just the wall color that throws me off. Like if it's a super bright color,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't feel like doing that.
Yeah.
Like it's
Interesting.
just
Yeah.
me though. Like it's dependent on the person, right?
Yeah.
I know, and that's why I might be an anomaly by saying that, but like
Yeah.
I know I like very particular niche things that the
Yeah.
majority doesn't like.
Yeah.
And so I know with whatever I end up purchasing, I'm going to have to change it in order for it to be what I like.
Yeah. And
so-
you've accepted that fact. And
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
people can, and then some people like want to move in ready home where they don't
Yeah.
have to do a single thing. And that's
where I'm at, because I've moved into houses. Like, well, I grew up flipping houses, so they were always fixing, always changing. A house was never finished.
Mhm.
So now I'm like, I want to move into a house and I want it to be exactly the way I want it to.
Mhm.
And the thing I always look at is bathrooms.
Mhm.
The master bathroom. That'll make
Yep.
or break whether or not I like the house.
That is the same with
Interesting.
me.
And it's always if the tub is like in the, like, I don't know, they bring the floor up to like put the tub in and then it's all tiled and weird. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that's an immediate no.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really odd. And
That's
that's
like
so
funny.
specific. I know. I'll be like looking through the photos, like, I hate that. Next.
I am very particular. I'm like, okay, the tub has to be separate from the shower.
Yep.
And I like my tubs. Like that's a big thing. And when
Yeah.
Matthew got this house, I was like, it needs a tub.
Yeah.
And the master, like, that's not negotiable.
Yeah.
But-
You're just a bath girl. You've always been a bath
yeah,
girl.
Yeah.
I love my baths, and this is what I want.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But even like sometimes because we've gone through it a few times in the past few months, like, oh, do we change this about our house and put this money in, or do we buy a house that already has this done?
Yeah.
And there's been a few times where we're like, oh, we should go look at this house. And
Yeah.
but I mean, obviously, we really like our house, and I don't think we'll move.
Yeah.
Especially just because it would be a headache right now.
Yeah.
It really
it's not
would, yeah.
necessary.
That's
like,
not necessary for
Yeah.
the stress. And then we'd have another mortgage, and it would be more money. And
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
thing that's super neat, you actually, being a part of some of the conversations about your house, you guys mentioned about how in certain places basements don't count as the cost of the house, and so sometimes it's not worth putting
because
money
they're
into them.
unfinished.
No, but sometimes even if you finish it, it
Yeah.
doesn't actually change the value of the house. Is
So-
that
Okay.
so no, so it's it doesn't change the square footage.
okay,
Anything
that's
below
it.
grade is not counted in the square footage of the house. It can be additional square footage on, like, if you look at a house on realtor.ca or whatever,
Yeah.
and you see it's 2,400 square feet.
Yeah.
That doesn't include the basement, finished or not finished.
Oh, okay.
If it is finished,
Yeah.
that is a benefit. That is
Yeah.
a big benefit.
But is it more
It's-
like a personal, like, oh yeah, we don't have to do anything?
It's all dependent on the person who's
Okay.
buying it. If
Yeah.
they want a finished basement,
Yeah.
like if we were to finish our basement, it's really hard to tell because
Mhm.
I think we could get a decent amount of money right now
Yeah.
Mhm.
that it wouldn't be worth us finishing our basement.
Well, what you
But
guys did
sometimes
that.
it is worth.
Yeah, what you guys did that improved value is the bedroom and the bathroom.
That is
Yeah.
a big thing because
Yeah.
people like, we have 3 bedrooms upstairs and we have the one in the basement, and then we have a bathroom in the basement too, which is a benefit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But the whole rest of the basement, it depends on the buyer's needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We, at this moment in our lives, do not need to finish the basement. We've
Yeah.
talked about it several times on and off.
Yeah.
If we're going to, right now it's just this giant storage room.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it works for us.
Yeah.
That's
But if, I don't know, because we've also talked about moving and getting a suited basement.
Mhm.
It depends on the buyer, but
Okay.
it does help with
Okay.
selling your house.
Yeah.
But again, like some people just don't want a finished basement.
But it doesn't always change the value of your
No.
house.
Yeah,
interesting.
depends on comparables too, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, because we looked at a house to rent before we moved in here, and it was like the same kind of thing, except we got the basement, but the basement wasn't.
Mhm.
Like they still
Yeah.
had like the builder grade wooden stairs. Like there was like
Oh, yeah.
nothing down there, and I was like, that's fine. Like Bryce the framer, we could,
Yeah.
no big deal.
Mhm.
But I was like, it was one of the things where it was like, okay, if I was going to rent a full house, I would like a finished basement.
Mhm.
See, and that's again like
Yeah.
it depends on the person.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah.
Interesting.
And I feel like suited basements are becoming like the new thing, especially
just-
in the city, because why
You can-
wouldn't you?
Yeah, rent it out, have the
Yeah.
extra income. Like
If your
Yeah.
if your renters can pay your mortgage, duh.
Yeah, exactly.
For
Well, and we have
sure.
so many family in the city that are renting anyways that it would be almost a no-brainer for us to buy a house and rent them the basement.
Mhm.
But
Totally.
it's also like they're making houses so small now that if you have more than like 2 kids, you need a finished basement so that you have a place to put them. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
I'm just gonna finish
Oh, yeah.
answering this question. I got a little bit more. So we're still on the things you need to know before selling a house.
Perfect. We love it.
Obviously, you're gonna need to deal with the legal paperwork, so you'll need to hire a lawyer. After an offer is made, you have 3 options: accept, reject, and counter. Between you or your realtor and the other party, there may be some back and forth negotiations until you're satisfied. At that point, you'll do the deposit and stuff just to kind of hold that contract until
Right.
the conditions are waived and stuff and everything looks good. And then it's time to move. Make sure your bills are taken care of, home is clean, none of your belongings are in the home on possession date. Yeah.
Decent. So the lawyer fees. Oh, I guess we kind of talked about this already. Because I've never hired a lawyer. So I don't understand how expensive they actually are,
yeah.
because all I've ever heard is that lawyers are like stupid expensive. So then I'm like, if I have to hire a lawyer to buy a house, that's another
Yeah.
cost that's going to be like exorbitantly
Yeah.
high.
It's
Or are they kind of like,
it depends on the house.
yeah.
It depends on the house. It depends on what they have to do because they charge hourly, obviously, if they send anything via courier, anything they print. Like working at a law office, I've seen all the small expenses and they do
Yeah.
add up. Although when I worked for the law office, it was commercial real estate, so it's a lot more.
Yeah.
I would say 1,000 to 2,000. I don't think it would be more than 2,000.
I guess that's pretty decent.
Well,
I'm trying to-
I roughly like
lawyer.
$100 an hour, depending on the lawyer.
Yeah, I just don't
Yeah.
understand how they can charge, like, lawyers charging hourly does not make sense.
Well, sometimes they
Based
have
on their
like a
time.
But
package deal too. It just
Yeah.
depends on the lawyer. You can look around for lawyers and you
Yeah.
can call around and see what kind of the rates are and like
Yeah.
how much, an estimate of how much it would cost to buy or sell and use them. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
depends on like what happens, like what they have to do, if they have to pull any searches or
Right.
anything to do with any registrations on the title. I'll have to deal with that and
Yeah.
all that
stuff.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, because they're like salesmen too in some ways too, right? You're paying them for their knowledge.
Yeah.
Save your ass out of a
Oh, yeah.
situation that you got yourself into.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
I just am confused how they like keep track of their hours, because a lot of time they have like multiple things going on.
Like kind of like
Oh,
bookkeeping, though.
they rate. I mean, it depends on the lawyer. There's
Mhm.
either programs they put it into,
Okay.
or they write it down on a piece of paper
Yeah.
with what they do and how
Okay.
much hours, like 0.3 hours. Like it
Right.
can be very specific,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and they'll give it to the legal assistant. The legal assistant will input it into it depends on
Okay.
kind of the style.
But usually,
Yeah.
like, it takes
Lawyers.
me X number of hours to draw up a specific contract for this type of purchase, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of already know it's going to take you an hour and a half to write this,
To
and
do
so
this.
kind of
Yeah.
go from that.
Yeah.
It depends on the lawyer. Honestly, some are very old school.
Mm-hmm.
Some are more technology based. Some like just take in houses and
Yeah.
like just get them done. Like that's just what they do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They can do it very quick and very efficiently if there's no problems.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
maybe cheaper. I don't know. Like
Fun.
I just lawyers talk to me when keys are released. Usually,
Well, it's
because I
kind of
don't have
nice
to go
that you can
into
see
sign.
both sides of it too, where you're like,
yeah.
okay, I know what the lawyer's doing, and now I know what the realtor's doing.
And
so I can,
it is a little different for me because I did work on the commercial real estate side.
Right.
So there was a lot more that the lawyers did that went into commercial real
Mhm.
estate.
Yeah.
So residential, I mean, I know the basics of what the legal assistants and lawyers do,
Yeah.
but I don't know like time and stuff. And I know there's programs that's literally like a step by step
Okay.
of like, okay, this is going on. This is what you got to do.
right.
Mhm.
And yeah. And
Okay.
it's kind of on the legal assistant side of it.
Yeah.
But-
So fun.
I guess, and the final question that we had on the list is, how do you find clients?
Mainly referrals.
Okay.
I've gotten some inquiries around social media, some random emails sometimes, but not really. Like I follow through with everything I get. but sometimes it's
Yeah.
scam, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you got to be careful with social media and realtor.ca, like anyone can email you.
Right.
Mhm.
So you get those and then kind of seems a bit sketchy and you like follow up and you're like, oh, let's meet for coffee. And then they don't reply. And you're like, okay, well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've had a few clients that I've gotten through selling some houses. So for example, I've sold my friend's place and I had someone from Ontario or a couple of people from Ontario call me about it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I've gotten into contact with them about buying a house. And
cool.
I showed a few houses to one client and then they decided not to move anyways. Actually, they're from Montreal and they decided not to move.
Yeah.
And then my other clients from Ontario, they did move.
Oh, cool.
So, I mean, it works out. And I mean, at that point, it was FaceTime showings and buying it without seeing it in
Oh my
person.
gosh, yeah.
Mhm.
So they had to put a lot of trust in me.
Yeah.
But it did
Yeah.
work out. And
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I never the reason I thought of that question is because until you started becoming a real estate agent, I didn't realize that you didn't just have a pre-given list of clients. Like you're kind of your own.
it also depends
Thing?
on your brokerage.
Yeah.
So with mine, and I love my brokerage so much, but I kind of have to do my own marketing.
Right.
Mhm.
So I don't have my marketing budget is what I spend on myself.
Oh,
There is
okay.
no amount from the brokerage that is given to me to put
Right.
my name on post-it notes or whatever
Yeah.
I
And
want
that's why
to
you
do.
see Remax has ever gives everyone a bench.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
right.
that's also because they pay monthly fees
Mhm.
to put into
Okay.
that kind of advertising cost. And some people pay above that and put their name on a bench or billboard or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, mainly referrals for me. But I mean, there's some people that cold call
Oh, okay.
and yeah, kind of go clients from that. Or you can hire a company and they'll send you referrals or kind of leads more.
Okay.
They'll send you leads and then a lot of them obviously don't end up with anything, but it's mostly
Right.
So it depends on what you put into yourself,
and
and
it
how-
depends on the brokerage too. Because some people you can, or some brokerages you can just
Yeah.
you can get clients, they'll send them your way and you help them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of mine are referrals or I'll meet
Okay.
them through working.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of like podcasting, but you make money.
Not until the house is sold.
That's true, I guess.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's fun. Do you have anything any final thoughts then before we wrap up and go head on to our segment?
I do not think so.
You do not think so?
Okay.
Well, thank you. It's been very informative again
Mhm.
for the
That's
dummies.
so good. I learned so much. I'm just gonna get home and be like, "Did you know?" Be like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And obviously it's easy enough. Just give me a message and I can set up a home search.
Mhm.
And I mean, I don't really want to look at a whole lot of things if we aren't pre-approved because it just doesn't make sense. But
yeah.
if you want to know kind of a price range and stuff and emails get sent to you,
Yeah.
kind of what the house is along your parameters.
I know, because I looked at your 7 your things to know before you buy a house or whatever, and
Yeah.
the one we're struggling with right now is where we want to live.
Yeah. And that's a hard thing too because
Yeah.
you have to commit.
And I'm like, I'm okay with this area, but where in this area specifically?
Yeah.
And
That's affordable.
Yeah.
I mean, if you, set up a home search and just this is a nice house. And then you can talk to the realtor or you can do your own research.
Yeah.
But schools and whatever, just depending
Yeah.
on your future.
There's so much you got to take into account.
I know
really.
some people that have moved into the city from out of town. They're like, oh, how far is Chestermere from downtown Calgary or whatever?
Mhm.
That's an easy Google question. But
Mhm.
it's also realtor can answer whatever. Is this
Yeah.
neighborhood good? This is from my experience. This is from
Mhm.
research. These
Yeah.
are the schools. These are the amenities.
Yeah.
It all depends on the person, their situation, their lifestyle, if they have kids.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, because I found a really nice house in Cranston yesterday, and then I saw the
Mm.
price of it. It was $1.3 million, and I was like,
Not
Yeah.
our first time home, but
Jeez Louise, I was not expecting that.
Yeah. And more often than not, you have to kind of go with something that you don't totally love at first,
Mhm.
and then just get your foot in the door, and then you can upgrade
Mhm.
from there.
Yeah, but then you have to put more down.
I know.
Who knew?
But if you're paying less for a mortgage less for a mortgage than you are renting.
True.
And you're saving a bit more, and you're paying towards the house compared to just paying somebody. And you don't own this house. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You can't just be like, oh.
So then I have another question. So, like, second or third time home buyers, are banks more, like, are you easier to get pre-approved because you have bought a house? Or is it still, like, hit or
I think
miss?
it just depends. I think it depends on your situation. It depends on your job. It depends on your credit score.
Right. So it doesn't really benefit you with the banks.
It's one of those things, like, it's like, okay, yeah, you've paid off your house, so, like, good job kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
now you have a house. Congratulations.
Like, it depends. Yeah, it depends on how you did it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It just depends. It's scenario by scenario basis on most things in the industry. So.
So big thank you to Blue Land for working with Sometimes Spotted Slaps. If you're passionate about the earth and a clean home, then these are the cleaning products for you. Blue Land is a company that sells eco-friendly cleaning products on a subscription basis. You can buy the welcome kit, which comes with dissolvable tablets of the products and reusable containers for each product. I got the Clean Sweet kit, which comes with a foaming hand soap, laundry detergent, powdered dish soap, dishwasher detergent, multi-surface cleaner and bottle, bathroom cleaner and bottle, and glass and mirror cleaner and bottle. And I love it so far. It has done exactly what I need it to do. So there are so many kits that you can get. And once you have what you need, then the tablets can be mailed out as needed. So you can just order the tablets and you don't have to get rid of the bottle as if what you do when you go to the grocery store now. So we love that they don't send out useless plastic bottles with each product, and you can just pop a tablet into the bottle and reuse it. So if you're interested in incorporating Blue Land products into your everyday life, click the link in our description and or on our website. So, segment today, do you know what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
I know a few questions.
Yeah. Would you rather home edition?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So the first question is, would you rather build a new house or buy an existing house?
Ooh.
I would like to build a new house because I have so many specific things that I want.
I would build.
Yeah, I'd buy an existing.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, you like the characters.
I love old homes. I love modernizing some old homes.
Yeah.
So
I would like to just put everything I like into a home. And like sometimes I can find that in an existing home, but what if it's not the neighborhood I like or whatever?
Yeah, exactly.
I would build if I could.
That's fair. Would you rather make permanent changes to your home or make temporary changes that can be easily reversed?
Temporary.
Yeah, I'm indecisive. I think I would have to do temporary.
Yeah,
more permanent, unless it's like a coat of paint, right? But like
Yeah.
I'm knocking down walls to make a room the way I want it to be.
And I would be too scared, like if I knocked down that wall, that all of a sudden I hated it, and I can't just. It's not like House Flipper where I can't just like put them back. It's a lot more work.
Yeah. Would you rather have a small house in the big city or have a large house in a small town?
Large house in a small town.
Yeah, me too.
Being around people kind of. No.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I've had both.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right now, small house in the big city.
Okay.
But when we have kids, probably big house in the small.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be a city.
No town.
Sorry, that's a non-negotiable.
Would you rather only shop at a thrift store or never shop at a thrift store?
What does that have to do with houses?
Decorating.
I guess.
Never shop at a thrift store. I don't know. I like thrift shops, but I don't want to just only shop there because I'm really bad at like looking for stuff, and I just get frustrated and leave.
I don't know. The thrift store would have to be really good, but I don't know that I could never shop at a thrift store again. Shop at a thrift store.
I would only shop at a thrift store. I can find crazy unique gems that I think are really
Sometimes
good.
I find really nice things, and others I'm like, I don't feel like wasting my time.
Yeah.
I'll probably just furnish it all from IKEA anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Does it count as a thrift store?
No, it's not.
Poor quality and high expense.
It's not. IKEA does not count as
Thrift store.
IKEA's new.
IKEA's not a thrift store.
What if I buy from the as-is section?
So not
That's
thrift.
like a thrifting.
But
Not really.
you can
But
buy IKEA
kinda.
stuff from thrift shop.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I'd say Facebook Marketplace counts as thrifting,
Okay.
but I don't know if I'd count IKEA as
Okay.
is because it could be like a return for whatever
Go
reason
to,
they
like,
just not gonna put it back in a
Marketplace.
box.
Exactly. That's like thrifting.
But like usually thrifting, like you've lived with it. This is like they opened it, didn't like it, and brought it right back.
I don't know. I think the chair I bought from like the thrift section of IKEA, which is now what I'll be calling it. It's so busted.
That's
I like
hilarious.
pulled the seat off the other day and I was like, oh.
See, that could have been defective, like from when they opened the package.
No, it was how they built it.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, but
Some-
then
I think because I
IKEA
rebuilt it and it still didn't work. And I was like, mint.
Mm.
no. Cool. Would you rather DIY everything or buy everything? DIY.
I suck at DIY.
Yeah. I know. I don't have the imagination for it.
DIY
I
everything
try.
would get exhausting, but yeah,
Yeah.
this also comes from like the whole like thrifting. I can look at a couch and I'd be like, the fabric is atrocious,
Mm-hmm.
but I see it as this, and so I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just,
I don't have the energy.
yeah, exactly. I
I
just
have the
want it to be
time,
done
just
for
not
me.
the energy.
Yeah. Would you rather decorate with what's on trend or decorate with something that never goes out of style?
Ooh, never goes out of style. But I also do on trend, so it's.
Yeah, I'm so trendy.
I'm very trendy, but I also like. I try to not be. I don't know. It's hard. I see things on TikTok and I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
that's what I want.
I have to go with something that never goes out of style. I mean, but also that it's very personal.
That's so
Yeah.
subjective because
Yeah.
what you would consider stylish, I might not, and like vice versa,
Well,
right?
it's improvement, right?
yeah.
I'm like gold frames never go out of style. They've been around for centuries, and Journey's like, this is a tacky gold frame.
Well,
I hate
depends
it.
on the house.
exactly.
Depends on the frame. Depends on the house.
But I'm like
Exactly.
black and white chic is not my style.
no,
And that's totally my style, right? So
Yeah,
we could not be
Best
more
of both
opposite.
worlds.
Oh,
no.
definitely. Would you rather have a large living room or have a large kitchen?
kitchen.
Yeah.
I like my kitchen.
Yours is hard because you both are socializing.
Yeah, I think I would do living room,
Yeah.
like a large, because we spend most of our time in the living room.
Yeah.
And like the size of kitchen I have right now, I love, but I don't use all of it. Like it's almost
Yeah.
too big for us right now.
I feel
Yeah.
like I could use a bigger kitchen.
That's true. Yeah, you don't have a
Yeah.
lot of counter space.
I wish it was a bit bigger, but
Yeah, that's
I go with the larger kitchen because I find that whenever I do host, we all kind of hang out in the kitchen.
same.
yeah.
But
same here.
you host differently, right? You host a
Yeah,
different
everyone
crowd.
just sits down in front of the TV and plays on their
Everyone's-
phones.
Yeah.
Everyone's in my kitchen when we have parties.
yeah, that's
So
true.
it'd be nice.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
Would you rather only decorate with one color or only be able to use a color once?
Ooh, one color. At least everything looks
That's
Cozy.
true.
cohesive.
I don't know, but I follow some TikTokers that are making their house so vibrant.
I'm gonna go color once because you can have like shades of similar, but like I couldn't
That's
do
true.
I couldn't do a beige for the entire home or something
just
like
do
that,
white.
right?
I feel like it
Black.
would be easier to do just one color because that's how a lot of houses have done it
Mhm.
anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like one color, there's different shades of it. Like
Exactly.
wood.
Yeah, just use your color as wood. There's so many different
Wood.
colors of wood.
Different woods.
Just a treehouse.
But like one color. The way I'm reading that is like it's the same one.
Oh,
like
it's the
you
same
chose
shade?
this gray.
Mhm.
Everything in your house is this gray. Every tile, every floor, every couch, every cushion, every bed.
No, I would do the other
Oh.
one.
I still
Yeah.
would do the same color. I mean, you can probably make that look kind of cool.
It's kind of
I
what they
don't
did
know.
in this house anyways,
Like
actually.
monochromatic vibes. I guess I get it, but no, I couldn't decorate like that. I'm
I don't
so
know.
like I like moody dark colors and
yeah.
Yeah,
paired with bright and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Would you rather have plants that live forever or never have to dust?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Never have to dust.
Yeah, never
I
have
hate
to dust.
dusting.
Same.
I
My plants don't live very long anyways.
have
so-
plants that live forever anyways. They are just fake.
Oh, yes.
So I would love.
And you don't have to dust those fake plants.
Exactly. Loophole.
There you go.
I love my real plants, but sometimes when they die, I'm like, oh, that was it. Thank you. Moving
Yeah.
on.
Oh, I just
for
like
sure.
kill mine immediately almost. So,
Yeah.
but I do sometimes feel like I need to have more plants in here because I'm like, oh, it's just getting stuffy in here. I'd love to have plants just like freshen it up. But then I'm like, I have to care for said plant.
Yeah, for
And I have a
sure.
cat who will dig in said plant. So, you know.
Yeah, that'll do it.
No, my spider plant has about 100 babies on it.
Yeah.
I've had it since 4th grade.
That's crazy.
Like we have a plant in my house that is like 90 years old. It was like one of our family members' great grandma's
Wow,
Christmas
That's
cactus.
so impressive.
Yeah,
that'll do it.
we're a long-term plant family.
Man, that's wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ones I kill the most are succulents.
Yes,
Because-
I'm bad with succulents.
That was the only one I tried to have, but then I like went back to school. So I was like, Sheridan, can you like, this is on you. Her name was Karen. I was like, you have to look after Karen. And Sheridan killed Karen immediately. I was like, I know it said it didn't need water, but it did need some water.
They need lots of water, but if you put too much water, they fucking
Then they
rot.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like I don't nail down succulents, but spider plants.
You've got
Those
that
are
one
pretty
figured
good.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone who says succulents are the easy plants. I'm like, no. Spider plants are the easiest plant you can own.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Fake plants.
Yeah.
Pretty low maintenance.
When spider plants look sad, add water.
Pretty
And then-
much.
And then when they don't look sad anymore, and you're like, oh,
then you're
beautiful.
good to go.
Yeah.
That's fair. And it's tough having a cat because some plants are toxic to cats. So you
yeah.
can't have certain ones. So a lot of my favorite ones. And I was like going to get a lemongrass diffuser because I've been going to hot
Oh,
yoga and it's
yeah.
been so nice. It's so toxic to cats.
Yeah.
I was like,
I always
okay.
have to look at the essential oils with pets,
I know, it's so
unfortunately.
annoying.
The tree that was in our front entranceway that has now died.
Yeah.
It was toxic to dogs and cats.
Was it actually?
The dogs learned to not eat the leaves that fell on the ground, so it worked out. It was
That's
just
good.
like them
Mhm.
if they ate the leaves, but
Yeah.
they're still alive. So, and the plant
You're
is
good.
dead.
It's good
so,
to go.
and now we have random pine trees in that.
Hooray. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Would you like to share with our listeners where they can find you?
Yes. So you can follow me on my Instagram at realestate.yyc, and that's where you can find me. And on Facebook, Brooke Greyell, real estate agent. Or if you want to follow my personal account, it's just Brooke Greyell.
Yeah.
I will accept.
Yeah.
I am private, but I will accept.
Yeah.
And-
We'll have all Brooke's information linked
Yes.
in the description below and also on our website in
Yep.
her episode description. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Mhm.
All right.
And all of our listeners, go to, I don't know how to do this without looking at the camera. Go to patreon.com/sometimes Ciabatta slaps to sign up for our Patreon. You get all of our episodes ad-free. You get all the hot goss about what topics are coming next, maybe some bonus episodes if we get enough Patreons. So sign up for that.
I love that you just use the term hot goss. I'm here for that.
Yeah, it just felt right.
And then as for us, I'm Mak Joy.
I'm Mak Jubes.
We are Sometimes Ciabatta Slaps on all social media platforms. Our website is sometimesciabattaslaps.com, where you can find all of our episode links, audio and video, our merch links, our book club reviews, our guests, our everything you got to know about us. It's on our website. Same thing for our Instagram. We often do polls on our Instagram. So if we're doing some upcoming episode research, that's where you can talk to us. The best, I guess. And then TikTok is a whole mix of stuff.
I've just been posting shorts.
Yeah, it's been good.
And it has the short logo, and I'm like, well, that's unfortunate, but I'm not going to change it.
It works. So, and that's it for us. And with that, we will see you guys next Tuesday.
That's it for now.
Bye.
Bye.